Welcome to the Israel Daily News Podcast. I'm your host, Shanna Fold, and I'm here to get you caught up quickly. I've got some top news stories for you today from Israel, and guess what? You're listening, so you're already on top of your game. Survive and thrive, people. Knowledge is the best weapon. Today is Monday, March 17th, 2025 in the Gregorian calendar, and the 17th of Adar, 5785 in the Hebrew calendar. Purim is officially over, but I do have some Purim-related stories for you in today's show. Now, let's get to the news. Protest leaders are organizing a large demonstration in Jerusalem on Wednesday against Prime Minister Netanyahu's notification that he is going to fire Shin Bet chief Ronen Bar, which critics see as an attempt to shift blame for October 7th security failures. Business leaders have warned that dismissing Bar would harm Israel's stability, while Education Minister Yoav Kish threatened to cut funding for a Tel Aviv school after its principal encouraged students to join the protest. Attorney General Gali Bahar of Miara challenged Netanyahu's authority to fire Bar, citing legal concerns and the sensitive nature of the dismissal. Bar fired back, saying he refuses to step down. This came after Prime Minister Netanyahu announced plans to bring his dismissal to a cabinet vote. He stated that his removal has nothing to do with the agency's role in the October 7th attack and challenged the legality of Netanyahu's decision. Bar pledged to stay in his position to complete key security tasks, including securing the return of hostages and preparing his successors. He accused the government of ignoring the Shin Bet's warnings in the year leading up to the attack. Hamas announced on Friday that it would release Israeli-American hostage soldier Edan Alexander, who is a dual citizen, along with the bodies of 4 slain hostages who also held dual U.S. nationality. Israel swiftly criticized the move, accusing the terror group of psychological warfare and rejecting a broader U.S.-backed proposal aimed at securing the release of more captives. The Israeli Prime Minister's office condemned Hamas for rejecting a U.S. proposal crafted by envoy Steve Witkoff. Under this deal, Hamas would have released 10 living hostages immediately, extended the ceasefire through Passover, and potentially freed all captives if negotiations to end the war progressed. Israel agreed to the terms, but Hamas refused, according to the Prime Minister's office. A statement from Netanyahu's team read, quote, Hamas remains firm in its refusal and has not budged 1 millimeter, the PMO stated, accusing the terror group of manipulation and stalling tactics. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has called an emergency meeting with senior ministers on Saturday night to assess the situation and determine the next course of action. Israeli negotiators who had been in mediated talks with Hamas in Doha were recalled on Friday. Alexander, a Golani soldier and fighter, was captured on October 7th, 2023, when Hamas terrorists launched their deadly assault on southern Israel. Born in Tel Aviv, but raised in New Jersey, he joined the Israel Defense Forces as a lone soldier after high school. He's believed to be the last living American hostage in Gaza. A video released by Hamas in November showed a visibly gaunt Alexander pleading for his release, first in Hebrew to the Israeli government and then in English to the incoming Trump administration. Over the weekend, the U.S. carried out its most significant airstrike since Trump entered office, and it targeted Yemen's Iran-backed Houthi militia, which vowed retaliation after dozens of people were reportedly killed. The Houthis, who have attacked Israel and disrupted Red Sea shipping at large, claim that women and children were among the casualties. American officials stated that the strike successfully hit Houthi leadership and military infrastructure. Then today, so that's Monday, the United States intensified its military campaign, launching fresh airstrikes on 2 of Yemen's sites, at least on 2 of Yemen's cities. At least 53 people, including children and women, have been reported dead, and nearly 100 others have been injured in the strikes. The U.S. campaign, which could last for weeks, is part of a broader effort to counter Iran's regional influence and pressure Tehran over its nuclear program. Meanwhile, the Houthis remain a resilient force despite years of military action against them, continuing their defiance alongside other Iran-aligned militias in the region. Moving over to Syria. Recent sectarian violence in Syria's coastal region between March 6th and 10th resulted in the deaths of 1,064 Alawite civilians. That's according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. That's a huge number of people. It's almost as many as Israel lost on October 7th, which was 1,200. The violence was fueled by ongoing clashes between Syrian government forces and remnants of the former regime, with Alawite civilians caught in the crossfires. Alongside these casualties, 7 Christian civilians were killed, prompting growing fears about the safety of Syria's Christian minority in the country. Church leaders and community members have condemned the escalation, warning that Christians, despite their neutrality, are increasingly vulnerable to the broader sectarian conflict. As the country remains unstable, Syria's religious minorities are worried that they'll either face continued violence or be forced to flee, further diminishing their presence as Christians in the region. Now that brings us to a very interesting and historic moment in Israel. Syrian Druze clerics visited for the first time in decades. The Druze are another ethnic group in Syria that are worried about their protection now that Syria's government had a takeover. For the first time in decades, Druze religious clerics from Syria crossed into Israel through the Golan Heights for a sacred pilgrimage. They're visiting the tomb of Nabi Shuab, the most revered site in the Druze faith. This visit was coordinated with Israeli authorities and led by Sheikh Moafwak Tarif, and sparked both support and, of course, opposition. While some view it as a sign of religious and cultural connection, others in Syria criticize it as a politically motivated move. I myself have interviewed Druze families in the past, and a lot of them have families on the other side of the border in Syria that they have not seen in generations. And that is because of the 1967 war, which divided the north into Israeli territory. And then the family on the other side of that border was forbidden by Syria to engage with their families. Even WhatsApp messages are somewhat risky. Not only are the clerics coming in, but Israel is also making an effort to find jobs for Druze Syrians within the population. Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz confirmed a developing pilot program to allow Syrian Druze to work in Israeli towns in the Golan Heights. The initiative is meant to facilitate employment in construction and agriculture. The program follows discussions with Druze leaders in the Golan, which is Israel's north, and is in its early stages of implementation. Syrian violence escalated dramatically, with more than 1,000 Alawite civilians killed by security forces and allied groups in Syria, and that's what is spurring all of this. The loyal former President Bashar al-Assad, who fled the country, his men are part of this issue, are part of the forces that are causing havoc and violence. What are your thoughts on this historic time, this historic event, and Israel coming in and doing their best to protect these minorities in Syria? I have 2 free tickets for Israel Daily News listeners to see a film about legendary artist Matisyahu. It's happening in Tel Aviv, Tuesday, March 18th in the evening at 7 p.m. It's the official Tel Aviv premiere of the powerful film Song of Ascent. The 86-minute documentary/concert film is now circulating in film festivals throughout the United States. It's about Matisyahu's rise to fame, his response and advocacy after October 7th, and the power of music to heal and unite in the face of anti-Semitism. Film festivals in the U.S. have been saying it's the only October 7th related film that is not too heavy and even uplifts you. To get your 2 free tickets, you have to send me an email at info@israeldailynews.org telling me why you love the Israel Daily News and how long you've been a listener. The first email to hit my inbox with all the answers will get 2 tickets to the show. The contest is happening now. Others can purchase a ticket with the link in the show notes. That's happening on Tuesday, March 18th at the Tel Aviv Cinematheque. I want to thank all of you for your interest in Israeli affairs, Israeli politics, or world politics. I also want to thank all of you who personally finance and fund the Israel Daily News podcast with monthly contributions. You can support us by going over to our new website, israeldailynews.org, and clicking on donate. The Patreon link is over there in the show notes, and you can send us a monthly donation using the Patreon link. There's also options for one-time donations. Our organization is operational thanks to listeners and supporters like you. Thank you to Marianne Vollinger for her monthly support. In response for your contributions, I'll send over a handwritten thank you note to show my appreciation. This story is my favorite nice story of the day, and I find it so enchanting, especially as a Tel Aviv resident myself. Woven from silver threads and adorned with shimmering gemstones, a special crown once graced the head of Tel Aviv's modern Queen Esther, a symbol of beauty and tradition in what used to be the Grand Adloyada Parade. I did not know about this tradition until now, so let me tell you about it. Decades ago, there used to be a big parade on Purim, and to pay homage to the story of Queen Esther, in which King Ahasuerus chose her as the beauty queen of the entire kingdom, Hebrew women in the 1930s would enter a beauty contest here in Israel, specifically in Tel Aviv. Yes, yes, yes. The city of Tel Aviv was officially founded on April 11th, 1909, before the country was founded in 1948. So this parade was a big deal, specifically in Tel Aviv between 1926 and 1931. And when the beauty queen would be chosen, the mayor of Tel Aviv at the time, named Mayor Dizengoff, would approach her on a horse and place this special Middle Eastern crown on her head. And of course, the women who won became local celebrities and models. Well, what happened? First of all, there was an outcry from people that this activity was not a Jewish activity of Jewish values, and that it was a foreign concept, and that it didn't belong in our society. And until this day, there's been a lot of issues over pageants here in Israel because people argue that it's not a Jewish value, the beauty competition. Well, anyway, this competition vanished along with the crown, which had been passed from queen to queen until it slipped away from the public eye and out of the city's memory. Then an anonymous benefactor offered it to the Museum of the History of Tel Aviv, but it was first offered for tens of thousands of shekels. The museum could not afford it and asked the Shlush family to step up and pay for it. The Shlush family is a famous Tel Aviv family that essentially got this city underway, along with other early adopters who were brave enough to leave the walled city of Jaffa and try to make a new home on the outskirts, which is now known as Neve Tzedek. To honor their legacy, and a past winner of the competition, which was a female Shlush who died young, the current Shlushes, the family goes on, the family lives on, decided to fund the crown's restoration and help the museum pay for it. Now displayed beside Mayor Dizengoff's horse saddle at the Tel Aviv Yafo City Museum in Bialik Square, the crown gleams once again, whispering stories of joy, splendor, and the city's dazzling Purim past. Oh, I loved it, and I can't wait to go to the museum and hopefully find photos of past Tel Aviv beauty queens with the crown on their head, especially since I dressed as Queen Esther this year for Purim. All right, well, that is it for today's show. Today is Monday, March 17th, 2025. Tel Aviv has a low of 18 degrees Celsius and a high of 26 degrees. That's 65 degrees Fahrenheit for the low, going up to 79 degrees for the high. Subscribe to the Israel Daily News podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're hearing it from. We are everywhere. Don't forget to sign up to our Israel Weekly News Wrap. The Israel Weekly News Wrap is a newsletter with the top 5 stories coming out of Israel from throughout the week, and of course with a personal note from me at the top. You can sign up for that at israeldailynews.org. I'll send you off with a song called Aneni Na by Kunda and Laor, a cousin duo in Jerusalem. Have a great and productive day and an excellent week. Shavua Tov, everyone.
Pumping this love from Lev HaOlam. Beat Aleph Bet, beat Bafanan. Deep inside the land of Zion, it's a dance designed to move everyone. So yalla kulam, put your worries aside. This beat is a sign, your body decides. Yalla kulam, we won't let them divide. Jerusalem sisters all on the same side.
Wherever you are, truth in you lies. Wherever you are.